Hello and welcome back to All You Leaders and Strategy. I'm Mike Harris and I'm joined today on today's podcast by businesswoman, award-winning entrepreneur, Jeevan Punj. So thank you for joining us, Jeevan.
It's a pleasure, Mike.
Yeah, looking forward to this. It should be a good episode, lots of fun.
Yeah.
So we talked about leadership a bit earlier. I mean, I just wonder what's your thoughts about leadership? I mean, what does leadership mean to you?
For me, as a leader, it's getting people to a stage where they feel they've got the right support, they've got the right guidance to achieve a common goal, a shared goal, either in a business or whatever situation. But you're really giving them the initiative to be able to excel and be better people. But at the end, you're going to achieve something. They're going to want to achieve the same as you, and they're going to want to work with you as well, because you're setting a good example.
And I think for you, I mean, there's a leadership within a business, but your leadership I think is different, and certainly for me, I think it's more powerful. Is you're such a great role model for people. I mean, I don't know if you see it like that, but there's so many people in business, I'm sure, look at what you do and what you're achieving. You know, you're talking about the Women Industry Awards and that kind of stuff. I mean, it's such a great role model. I think it's fantastic.
Thank you. That's.
I mean, do you feel that in yourself, or?
I just do what I do. I just do it.
I thought you were going to say that.
Some months ago, it was quite. I had a bit of a cry as well, actually. I just received a text message from somebody that I knew in business, lovely lady, because I just do what I do. She sent me such a lovely message to say, Jeevan, you inspire me because of such what you. And I thought, oh, I didn't even think of it.
No.
Like, I didn't even, and it does make you kind of. It's
humbling.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah. But I don't see it myself.
No.
I just do what I need to do, and but it to inspire. Yeah, I mean, it's great, and if I do inspire anybody, I'm grateful. It's a nice thing.
And
to
it's probably worth mentioning in case, because of the timing of this going out, but last week was International Women's Week, wasn't it? And
International Women's Day. Yes.
International Women's Day. Yeah. So the timing, kind of stays in your mind, those sort of things. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Excellent. Really good. Bearing in mind what you said about your philosophy in life, I'm not sure the next question is actually the right question to ask, but it's on my list, so I'm going to ask it anyway. So what do you think makes Elite Hampers different from your competitions? There you go. I mean, so we're not going to think about competing, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. So.
That's fine. Well, how we try to be different, and I think we are, in the sense, the reason as to why the business was set up. It's a hamper business. It's a gifting business. Yeah. But why is it different? It's the power that we have of creating a feeling. So Elite Hampers is there for people. It's there for employees. It's there for clients. It's there for businesses. It's there for people just to be appreciated. So every hamper that we make, it's handpicked. We bespoke it to the person that we're going to send it to. So it's, like we said earlier, give me a chocolate hamper, that'd be great. So we really want to create a feeling and not just give a gift for the sake of giving a gift. And a lot of our clients care about their clients. It's so nice to actually have this job. Yeah, it's so what we attract, it's people that really want to give because they want to really appreciate somebody. They want to value that relationship. Yeah. I think that's where our kind of unique point is. But the competition side, I mean, I don't know what, I don't know where the competition is, but you've got to look beyond that. Otherwise, nobody else would be setting up another gifting business if we'd all focus on the competition.
And you said something again before we started recording, which I think ties back into this, that you've kind of got these values that the reason you started the business. And you get ideas or people make suggestions to you and you look at them and you think it's a good idea to start with. But then when you analyse it back to that principle, those values on why you started the business, maybe it doesn't really fit in to that. So
Yeah.
Did you have an example of that, of something that maybe has been suggested you thought was a good idea until you analysed it?
Um, I think adding different products
Right.
into so we at Elite Hampers, we choose products that are going to they got to taste good.
Yeah.
They've got to be quality. And we try and use some businesses that are B Corp registered as well as much as possible, and ethically sourced and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I do get lots of requests from lots of suppliers. Can we add this? Can we add this? Can we add this? And prices went up quite a few times. Chocolate prices have gone up ridiculously. Wicker basket prices since Brexit happened, it's just been crazy. And that's when I set up my business. So
Yeah,
it's the
yeah.
perfect time to start business, right? But and then you think, oh, actually that would work out better. Or if I just swapped that cost-wise, that would work out better.
Yeah.
But if I constantly did that, I'd be changing my product. It'd be no different to anything
Yeah.
else.
Wouldn't be
I would
elite,
be
would it?
exactly.
Yeah.
So you've got to step back, and you have to think, why am I doing what? Why am I making these decisions? You can get inundated with so many different things,
Yeah.
but you've got to those core values, honesty, quality, service that we have in our
Yeah.
business have to remain priority. It's difficult sometimes to, so many things come in and you think, oh, I should do that, shouldn't
Yeah.
No,
But no,
go
it
back to your
doesn't fit. It
values.
doesn't
It doesn't
fit.
fit.
Yeah.
That's not your value.
Yeah.
So don't do it. Don't
Yeah.
compromise.
And that's why I asked, really, because you've got a really clear business plan, I think, and vision on what you want to achieve. So it was interesting hearing this morning that even though outside looking in, it's well defined, you're constantly being challenged around it and having to think, is it right? Should I be doing that? And but holding, I think it's important to hold. Not saying you shouldn't change at times, because otherwise we wouldn't evolve, would we? We wouldn't
Yeah.
get better.
Yeah.
But does it keep you on track for what you're trying to achieve, or does it take you off track?
Absolutely. And I think that's correct, Mike. You've got to be flexible and
Yeah.
fluid in a business because things do change. Your environment changes, politics change, costs change.
Yeah.
So you've got to be constantly looking at things. But those core things, why you're doing what you're doing and what your values are, should remain intact. Because they change, your business changes.
Yes.
People will view the business differently as well. I'd have to change the name of it.
Yeah,
It's got to represent what it says on the tin,
exactly. On the box.
on the box, or the wicker basket.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I'm sure there's people watching today who are thinking about making a change, maybe setting their own business, doing what you did, which was move from being an optician into this sort of entrepreneur and gifting. What piece of advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about making that change?
Firstly, just do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just told you it was one night I set up a business on the company's house and I had no idea what I was going to do with it.
Yeah.
So don't stop yourself from doing it. If you're going to set up a business, just say, I'm going to do it. Then get the right people around you. It's a very different world. You want to start right. So get the right people around you, get the right advice, and then make it happen.
Yeah.
Don't think, oh, okay, I'm not going to take that advice because it's going to cost me too much. Or there are professionals there to help you in business because they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, and in a sense, I wish I changed a little bit of what I did when I started, because it is difficult.
Yeah.
Product business, I invested so much in it. So I can't pay for that. I can't pay for that.
No,
I've got to, it's so hard.
Yeah.
But right from the beginning, start right. Get the right advice, get the right people around you, and be visible, because people need to see who you are, because you've got to be knocking the doors.
Yeah.
You're not going to be found on social media. You're not going to be found in the shops. You've got to really start to be visible, get yourself
Very
out there.
important. I mean, it's a phrase I use regularly with my customers. I come in and they've got great products, they've got great business, great service, and they're struggling to grow. And I say, it's because you're the best kept secret. Nobody knows you exist. Why will people buy from you if they don't know you're there? Once they know you're there, I think you'll be fine. But you've got to get out there. You've got got to sell the business. You've got to sell what you do. Because at the moment, you're just a secret.
And I think people, and I understand why people do it. And that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
It's hard to put yourself out there because you feel almost like you're on show, you're on the stage, and you don't want to be in the spotlight. But it's your business. You decided to create a business. So if you want it to work, you've got to outside the comfort zone.
Exactly.
You just got to put yourself
there.
But
the other aspect of it that I find time and time again is I talk to businesses and they've got something and they're doing something that's really exciting and different. And I tell them, blimey, I didn't, you're doing this, it's really good. And they go, yeah, but that's just what we do. They don't see themselves or in their business the special stuff that they do, and because they don't think it's special, they're not telling everybody else. But the reality is most companies have some really good stuff that they do that
it's just putting it out
it's
there.
getting it out and getting people to see it, and then people will want it if they can see it. But if they don't know it exists, they don't want it. Exactly. They don't know they want one of your special hampers if they don't know they're there, do they? So yeah, I think that's really important. So yeah, good advice. And as I say, hopefully it will help people who are kind of on that cusp of do I or don't, because it's frightening, isn't it, when you're making such a big change like that. I remember when I set up Strategist that it's really sort of got to jump with both feet, but it's daunting.
You don't know where it's going to take you. Well, even when you're in it, you don't know where it's going to take you. But if you don't try, you don't know.
Yeah.
It's again, if you just going to get out of that comfort zone and just try it, and I think you've really got to be that kind of person that will just say, okay, if it doesn't work, at least I tried.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And the chances are, if you put the effort into it, it will work. That's the truth of the matter. So so there you go. If you're thinking of doing it, here's a good example of what to do and how to do it. So excellent. I talk a lot on the podcast about strategy and strategic thinking. Have you got any thoughts around how strategy has worked for Elite Hampers and yourself?
Yeah, so strategy, really having the right processes and whatever behaviors, whatever it is, to succeed. So in terms of the business, marketing strategy has helped me.
Yeah.
Then there's a social strategy that helps. Then you've got your sales strategy.
Yeah.
And then your overall business plan strategy, almost. So that mine are very fluid and they change. And sometimes I haven't looked at them. I've just made a decision.
Yeah.
But I think that's how business works. When people say that's my business plan, I don't know how that works, because there's a plan and then there's a plan.
Yeah.
I use my plan.
Yeah.
It's because things are constantly evolving. But they are, it keeps you on track. And it makes you accountable as well. So if you know that, this is what I've got to do it.
Yeah.
I'm accountable. What are the results that I've received? So having those plans in place help. And in terms of behavior, I have a strategy as well, staying positive. No matter what happens within the business, keeping my business, I think we touched on this, my business separate to me.
Yeah.
Because it can be so turbulent. It's not always happy glory, everything's going just fine.
Yeah.
There are times when you think, what have I done? Or it's not working out how I want it to be, but you can't let that get into your personal life either.
No.
So there's got to be coping. What do I do? You've got to find a coping mechanism, and again, that's a strategy, because that's going to help you to succeed. Anything that's going to help you to succeed, I think, it's a strategy, a coping mechanism, isn't it?
And something you said a minute ago, which I think is really important, is that you have a plan, and then you kind of have the plan, i.e. what comes up day to day. But actually, if you know where you want to get to and you have that overarching strategy, much easier to make day-to-day decisions in my way, because you know where you're trying to do. If you don't know where you're trying to get to, is that, do I turn right or do I turn left? But if you know where you've got to get to, you kind of know which is probably the better route. So it's easier to make those day to day.
Yeah. It's like a road closure, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got a guide. You know where you want to get to, but that road is closed. So how else can I get there? So
exactly.
you try something else,
very
right?
Good analogy. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. And particularly with my sat nav and my car, you definitely need to be aware of the alternatives. So I always, because I'll put you under the spotlight a bit and ask you about lead hampers. So I always think it's fair to give you the opportunity to put me under the spotlight. Is there any questions or anything you'd like to ask me?
Ooh, I've got that opportunity. I have.
Yeah.
What made you start your own business? What is it that drove you to do it?
Well, to be perfectly honest, so you went back to COVID and how sort of the effect for you on COVID. So prior to COVID, I was the managing director of a large UK-wide engineering business. And I used to leave home, if I was lucky, I'd leave home on a Monday morning, but quite often leave on a Sunday night. And if I was lucky, I'd get home on a Friday night. And if I was unlucky, I'd get home on a Saturday morning. So I spent my whole time sort of being in London or Edinburgh or Manchester or Birmingham, just travelling all over the country. And that's because I felt I needed to be seeing the clients, I needed to be with the teams, I needed to be out, visible. And then COVID, and I loved it. I loved the job. The reason I live in the Midlands is because I moved here and the family moved with me. I come from just outside London originally, went up to Edinburgh, lived up there for nearly 10 years, then came to the Midlands. And I had, I loved the job and everything else. And then all of a sudden COVID came and I worked in construction. So construction projects were still happening. So it wasn't quite the same as a lot of people where they just couldn't go out at all. I was able to visit the site, but it was a lot different. I wasn't traveling as much. And I suddenly realised what a home life was like during the week, and actually seeing the family during the week and seeing the grandkids and the family. And I suddenly thought, I don't know, actually. I've never really thought about it, but I actually really quite like this. I quite like having a home life during the week. And then, so as COVID lifted, I thought, if I go back to the job I did before, I will go back to doing it that way. As much as I might think I would do it differently, I know I just won't be able to. I won't be able to stop going to see the clients or going out to the offices or whatever. So I've either going to have to go back to what I was doing or not go back effectively. So once I'd made the decision I wasn't going back, then it was about what was I going to do.
Yeah.
And so I thought I'm gonna have a go at setting up my own business. I made a decision. I was only going to do things I enjoyed. So the core services that we provide, 3 of them, came from purely, I enjoy strategy and business planning, I enjoy bid management and tendering, and I enjoy project management. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do anything else. And then the coaching came because somebody suggested, who knew me really well, that he felt I was a good coach and mentor to him and others, and therefore I should bolt that on as well. And actually kind of underpins the other bit. So in answer to the question, what drove me to it was not wanting to go back to doing not the job was fine, but how I did it and my lifestyle. And then focus, if I was only going to do what I enjoy, the only way I could do that is if I was kind of in control of that myself. Because if I went back to another organisation, I can't control to the same extent. And I've never looked back really. I just love it. I just the freedom, and I think the thing I like most. I mean, our sort of vision is helping the next generation of leaders, and the reason I've got that is because I think I've been really lucky through my career that I've had some really good role models, people who have effectively mentored and helped me to get to where I got to. And even those bosses who maybe a bit shouty and tell you that you were doing things wrong. When I look back, actually, it was still a form of mentoring. They were still helping me and getting me to see how to do things differently. And I just thought it'd be great if I could just give something back and help others the same way as I've been helped. And I think more than anything, that's what I enjoy. That's why I do the podcast, because there's only a certain number of people I can get to through sort of the workshops and the firm. But the podcast gives us a wider reach. I mean, posted just the other day actually that we get about 250 sort of views a month. So
very good.
Which is, I think, pretty. If you look at it in terms of some people's websites, YouTube channels and podcasts. It probably doesn't look that many, but for what I want and trying to get out and helping people, I think that's 250
great that
people
you're doing it,
I couldn't help. And then you start looking at where the audience is. I've got people from America, Brazil, India, Pakistan, Indonesia. 4 or 5 people from each of those countries constantly watching the YouTube or listening to the podcast. So that's an audience I'd never be able to get to. Now, to be fair, they might just be watching to laugh at me or maybe learn English or something. I don't know. But the fact is,
but you're getting the audience.
I'm getting the audience, and hopefully I'm helping people. So so that's why we do what we do here. It's just to help people. Yeah. So,
fantastic.
Anything else? Anything else you'd like to ask?
What's your favourite hamper?
Favourite hamper?
What do you like eating?
What would I like? Well, I chocolate definitely.
Are you?
Yeah, definitely. Well, you just look at me. I mean,
I
only got to look at chocolate and I put on weight.
That's same as me.
So definitely anything. But big on savour. I'm not particularly. So some hampers come with wine and drinks. That's not me. I'm not particularly into that. So anything savoury, anything snacky, anything chocolate crisp, biscuits. Loads of biscuits, particularly cookies or.
Was that hamper made for you? It looks like it was, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm not just
biscuits.
reading what you've got. A shortbread. Yeah, that's another one. Yeah. So I'm not just looking over to see what's there and reading it out. But anything that's snacky. I mean, if I had that. I'm working at home, that would be there, and by the end of the day, it would be all gone. I would have worked my way through the hamper straight away. Yeah. So, for me, it's anything. But everybody, as you say, everybody's different. They like different things, don't they? I mean,
exactly.
Certainly the ones that we got from you, or for the clients, the feedback was because it was a Christmas hamper. It was kind of geared to, the sort of things people like at Christmas. And what was great is I bought them for individuals. But they all had them in the office. They actually opened it up, shared it for everybody, which I thought was great as well. They didn't just take them home. They
lovely.
made it in the office, so that was really good. So, so that'd be my ideal hamper, I think.
Now I know. Yeah, brilliant.
Next time.
That's it.
Okay, just to finish then, and maybe we've spoken about this a little bit, about advice, but is there any actionable tips that you would like to give to our viewers and listeners around sort of starting a business and being an entrepreneur?
I suppose we touched on it a little bit. Don't compromise your values. Don't compromise that. Be visible. Write things down. Because we get so many ideas as business owners, and you might be walking and you're thinking, oh, I've just had that idea, and you forget it by the time you get home. Always write an idea down. There's so many that I've kind of left because I didn't write them down.
I had a boss who always used to use the phrase "think in ink." In other words, if you're thinking something through, write it either on a whiteboard. That's a good way to, but think in ink, because it will stay. If you the process of writing it down or typing it up helps it to stay in the mind. So think in ink was his phrase, which I think works.
It does, no, absolutely. But that's very important. And surround yourself with the right people. I think that's so important. It made a big difference in my business life. So
And the people you're surrounded with. So do you have a big team that sort of supports you in the business?
No. So in the business, so I say it's as a team because Elite Hampers, there's so many people that help us. So in Elite Hampers, it's just me, but we have so many other people that come in and support us. So we are the team, and they are my supporters, and but getting the right team like that behind you, you've got to try what works for you, and learn early on what doesn't work for you, because it's easy to say I'll carry on. Oh, it's okay. But you've got to say no at one point. If it's not working for you, just learn early on and just say.
So that guy that I mentioned about the thinking ink, he was very good with these phrases. Another one he had was, if you're going to fail fast. In other words, admit to yourself it's not working and move on to something else. Don't just keep persevering, because your ego won't let you give up on something because it's a bad idea or whatever. So so if you're going to fail fast was another one of his.
Exactly. A bit like when I first set up the business, all my hampers were almost chocolate hampers. And I didn't want to change it
No,
because
no, 'cause you did,
obviously, you know,
yeah.
but I had to.
Yeah.
And I did it quick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, excellent. Okay, well, one of the things I like to do to finish the podcast is set some homework for the listeners and viewers, something that they can take away and think about and put into practice themselves. So, as you're with us today, I thought I'd give you the opportunity to set today's homework.
Okay, yes. So, if you're a new business or looking to set up a business, I would urge you to go and look on your local council website, see what business support is available, because there's a lot out there, and that'll give you a good starting point. Go and have a look what's there and do contact somebody. So that's number one. Number two, get yourself on social media. Even if you don't like it and you don't want to be there, you've got to do it, because that's the way forward. And a lot of all businesses have to be on it.
Yeah.
So those are two big things, actually, because your local council, your growth hub, or whatever it is locally to you, can support and help you, but a lot of people don't know about it.
No, and I guess in both of those contexts, whether you're a new business or an existing business,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
as important
absolutely,
if you're an
yeah, yeah.
existing business, both of those, isn't it?
Absolutely,
To
yeah.
get that support locally and
Whether you're looking for
maximise social media.
absolutely grants, and there's so many
Yeah.
different types of business and financial support that you can
Yeah.
get, even if you're a big business. Absolutely, yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thanks very much for joining us
Thank
today.
you for having me.
It's been a great fun. I'm going to go off and nick some of your chocolate.
That's going to be gone, isn't it? I'm not going to take that back.
You're not going to take that hamper home, no. Right, as I say, thanks for joining us. Hopefully you've enjoyed it as well.
I have, yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
That's great. And there you go. So today's episode, looking at entrepreneurialism, starting a new business. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and if you have, you'll come back and join me next time. Not entirely sure what the episode next is, because I'm not quite sure how this is going to slot into the diary, but you'll come back and join us anyway, and we'll be talking about something related to leadership and strategy. I'll see you then.